Hector, the eagle eye. And one of the things that I feel really strongly about is that we have an entire accounting economy that's built around the ProAdvisor community. And it was Intuit that built this sub-economy. Their initial strategy of onboarding as many pro-advisors as possible was a really solid one. And that goes back, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years when I first started doing this. And, Hector was long established even before I showed up. And that was their strategy because one bookkeeper brought to them somewhere between two at a dead minimum and, hundreds of clients. So one educated, enthusiastic, QBO-centered bookkeeper would generate thousands of dollars for Intuit every single year. And there was a lot of enthusiasm around that. Intuit built a community that focused on support and education. It fostered camaraderie, and bookkeeping went from being an isolated occupation from when you were alone at your desk or in your firm to now social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and then the conferences where we got to know each other. So because Intuit was focusing on the community and the pro-advisors, there's hundreds of expert-level professionals who built their careers and their thriving businesses around QuickBooks Online. Hector, Seth David, Veronica Wasek, me, and I'm leaving out many, many of my friends and colleagues. Also, all of the apps, the whole app universe developed because one enthusiastic user found a problem that they could solve, so they created apps. And then the conferences like QuickBooks Connect, going back to 2015, that's what brought us face to face, and we started strategizing together and collaborating together, and we grew our firms together, and we laughed together as we forged new friendships. And Intuit deluged us with swag and fun activities, and they treated us like royalty, and we responded. Over the last 12, 15 years, we responded by onboarding as many clients as possible, meaning new QBO users for Intuit. Now, I know that times are changing. The industry is changing. We have a shortage of accountants. We have a shortage of bookkeepers. New businesses are being opened more rapidly than there's financing and there's professionals to support them. And so I get that Intuit is evolving with the times. I get that they have new growth strategies, MailChimp, TurboTax, Credit Karma. But what I don't think the shareholders or the C-suite are taking into consideration is that at the same time, well, there's actually another piece of other news. This same week, they disbanded the Trainer Writer Network. And I don't think they're taking into consideration that at the same time of disbanding the TWN, at the same time they're releasing this new training and coaching program, they're alienating their evangelical core. They're alienating their influencers, the educators that are active on social media, the people who are dispelling the misinformation, the people who are answering the questions, the people who are providing all the good advice about how to use QBO and how to fall in love with QBO. What Intuit's not taking into consideration is that, in a way, they're kind of sucking the soul out of their audience. A couple of years ago, they revamped the Intuit logo, and it used to be that the T's in the logo had little heads on it. There were little people in Intuit, and when they revamped the logo, the heads were gone, and the letters were all the same size. So I made a joke at the time that they literally took the people out of Intuit. So it kind of is emblematic of the shift in strategy. What the executives are also not taking into consideration is that the software is getting a little bit buggy. I've seen some reports that the numbers aren't as accurate or that people are having to do the work twice. And we all know from being on support that sometimes we have to take extra hours of time trying to figure out why something isn't working like we would expect. Is it a bug? Is it that the feature isn't full blown? So it becomes challenging and it takes more time to actually use QuickBooks. And what my concern is that if the software is not reliable and if the software isn't still designed for delight, that people aren't going to want to use it. What they're also not taking into consideration is that by adding a done with you and done for you services, they're actually actively dismantling this sub-economy that Intuit themselves built with our careers and our businesses and our lives. There's 4 pillars in Intuit's foundation: QuickBooks, TurboTax, MailChimp, and Credit Karma. It's like, a house or a stool. If you break one of the supports, the whole thing can fall. So, well, I don't personally have any issue with the new QB Expert Assisted services, even though it's directly related to my company's role in QuickBooks training. I think Intuit is asking the wrong questions as they guide their future strategy. And the feedback that they're using to inform these future strategies is coming from asking the wrong questions to the wrong audience. So, again, I truly do believe.